Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Voyager class Autobot Blaster and Eject from the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Trilogy line from Hasbro. I'm really excited for this release. I love Blaster. I've been wanting a G1 accurate Blaster for quite some time. The last time he showed up was in the Titans Return line, and that wasn't a bad figure. I had fun with it. It had a base mode, it was a headmaster, but it just wasn't the right size proportion to the other characters. He was way too big. He was a leader class, and it was fine for the time, but I've wanted like an actual G1 accurate Blaster, and I think we're finally getting it here. It looks absolutely fantastic. You might be asking yourself, where's Eject? He's actually tucked up inside. You can kind of just see his chest plate there. He is kind of right here on the inside of the packaging. You can kind of see it a little bit better there. So again, this is another argument for gotta have that at least a little bit of plastic window there, because if this was completely open, you could reach right up in there and people could steal them out in the store, which would be a huge bummer. So glad that they at least have a little bit of a window there. But the artwork on the front of the box looks fantastic. It finally answers that question, what would it be like to have a boombox in an active volcano? Right here. But in all seriousness, the robot mode looks fantastic. I really love the artwork here. It's kind of funny how he kind of snuck into the end of the Kingdom line. He is also going to be available in the first wave of Legacy. So if you can't find him as part of Kingdom, don't worry. He is coming as part of Legacy as well. Kind of like Astro Train. Astro Train ended Siege, but then was in the first wave of Earthrise as well. Kind of bridging that gap. So if you can't find him just yet, don't lose all hope. He will be part of Legacy as well, but just looks absolutely fantastic. Spin around to the back here. We got the boombox mode. We got the robot mode. We got eject and tape mode fitting into the chest. And then here is eject down here. Very, very cool. Looks like it's kind of a remold of Rumble slash Frenzy, but it looks a little different, and I'll do a comparison a little bit later on. But yeah, overall, really cool packaging. Very excited for Blaster, so I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the box here, and we're going to take a closer look. Here is Blaster out of the packaging. He looks phenomenal. They really did a good job with this guy. Very clean, doesn't have a ton of kibble or anything. You can see a little bit of the boombox here on the back, but it's really not that big of a deal. Really looks sharp. I think they did a great job with the head sculpt. Let me zoom in here. Nice silver paint there for the face, the light blue eyes, beautiful Autobot symbol here on the chest. This button here, this is all one large button. They're not individual buttons. You just push that in, and that pops right open. You can see we have eject right here. We'll come back to him a little bit later. And this mechanism works really well. I think that looks great. Articulation-wise, you have the head on a ball joint, so you can tilt pretty far back. Not so much forward, but side to side, no problem. You can even head tilt a little side to side. You have a swivel here in the shoulder, as well as a hinge out to the side. You have a bicep swivel, as well as 90 degrees in the elbow. You do not have a wrist rotation, but you can kind of go in and out a little bit. You can see the blaster he comes with here. Very reminiscent of his original 80s G1 blaster. And the other thing that's pretty cool here is you can see he's got the index finger, which is perfect for pressing the button to open the tapes, but it also kind of works as a trigger finger, so it's kind of a twofer. Works really nice. And you can go ahead and kind of push this in here. It kind of works more just for posing than to actually have him push it in, but you can technically get it to happen. If you bend the arm a little bit, I swear it's possible. Well, anyway, you can definitely get the pose. The problem is, even if you can get it, because of the way it opens, his hand would be in the way. But you can certainly pose him like he's opening it, which is fantastic. You have a waist swivel here. This little butt flap can lift up, so that way you can get full range of motion here in the hips. You can kick all the way forward. You can kick all the way back, kick out to the side. You have a thigh swivel there. You have a little, no, I'd say pretty much exactly 90 degrees in the knee. And then you do have ankle tilt, which is kind of neat, because when you look at his leg, it makes it look like it's one solid piece. You don't really have much in the way of the foot. This really just folds up because of the transformation. But you do still have ankle tilt. So this part just kind of stays behind. But that also kind of works because it makes it seem more cohesive. You don't have that large gap because that's still there. So that kind of works. So I like that. I think it really, really works. I love him. I really do. I think the robot mode looks absolutely fantastic. Nice articulation. Pretty much everything you'd want from a Voyager. I love the accessory that he comes with. The gun looks fantastic. He's got some ports here on the side of his shoulder and on the forearm. So if you wanted to connect weaponizers or fossilizers, anything like that, you certainly could. He's also got a port here on the side of the legs. And he does have on the bottom of the feet as well. So yeah, anything you want to connect to him shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, he just really looks good. I need to get the correct pose there. There we go. So I wanted to do a quick comparison because I'm sure people will ask. I love having these guys in the same size class. I know we had it technically in Titan's Return, but those were way too big. I think these look absolutely perfect together. And they're really completely different molds. I was really going through this like piece by piece, and feel free to shout out in the comments if I'm wrong. But I don't really think anything's been reused here. The legs are different, even the thighs, the hips, the torso, everything is different. I was looking at the arms. I really don't think there's been any kind of reuse here. I think this is a brand new mold. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be some kind of repaint or slight retool, but I'm pretty sure that they built Blaster from the ground up. But still, either way, they look great. Some people might also ask if the tapes are cross-compatible. They absolutely are. So if we take Ravage from Soundwave here, and we can pop him right into Blaster, and that totally works. So that's pretty cool. Now, to go the other way, if we want to put Eject into Soundwave, I believe it will work. Yes, there we go. Soundwave is just a little bit more problematic, as you can see. The tapes kind of get stuck in his torso, which is kind of a bummer. Really, only Ravage and Laserbeak work best in his chest. Now with Blaster, which is actually kind of neat, and hopefully you'll be able to see in here, he's actually got kind of like a ledge right here. It's just a little tab, so that when you feed tapes in here, they don't get stuck, and they kind of like rest in there, so they have a nice snug place to fit. And because of that, they kind of pop in and out a lot easier, which is really nice. Now, I know what a lot of you might be thinking. What about someone like Rumble, who really doesn't fit anywhere? He kind of fits. I mean, he fits in here, and you can close it up. And he still gets a little stuck. He's definitely better. But it's still not perfect. He's very thick, unfortunately. And because of that, he doesn't really fit anywhere well. You can kind of click it further in, but then he'll get stuck. So you just have to be a little temperamental. He works better in Blaster, but not so much in Soundwave. But he still doesn't really work perfectly in either. So that's kind of a bummer. And yes, I called the purple one Rumble. Don't at me. G1 cartoon continuity for me. That's just my preference. But in any case, these guys look really cool together. I do believe they are completely different molds. Alright, so to start off the transformation, we're going to come around to the back here. This section is going to pop back like so. You're going to just rotate the head down inside, and then close this back up. You're going to come around to the arms, and rotate them at the bicep 180 degrees. You're going to flip the hands not into the forearm, as you might expect, but around to the outside of the forearm, like so. And then you're actually going to use this pin here to swivel these around like that. And then you're just going to kind of drop this straight down. So doing that again over here, spin around 180 degrees, flip the hand to the outside, and then fold this in, like so, and then drop that straight down. You're going to spin the waist 180 degrees, and then you're going to flip this panel up. You have your legs here. You're going to flip these around. Actually, before you do that, it tells you to do this move, which I think is kind of strange, and I'm not really sure exactly why you need to do it. But these speaker pieces here on the legs, you're actually supposed to push this in so that these rotate around 180 degrees. And then they clip around, and so now they look like this instead of like this. So you pop this in, this spins around, and then it's just like that. I don't know what purpose that serves. I'm sure someone will know. Maybe it has something to do with how boom boxes actually function, but it tells you to do that. Then you're going to flip the feet up just like that. Now you can come back around to the front. These are going to flip up like so. There's a little tab here that flips around, and that goes like that. So repeat that over on this side. Very simple. Then you're going to spin these around like so, And this is kind of interesting. So you can see that there's a large tab right here. And there's actually a tab slot inside the hand here. And I'm sure it's not going to show very well. Any chance you want to focus? It's right, and I'm sure, come on, focus. There you go. It's right there. And I apologize. It's not focusing very well, but you can kind of see it there. So that's on the inside. So basically, this is going to come up and tab into that. And you just kind of have to line that up. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it can be done. Okay, what am I missing here? I promise it's in there. Okay, there we go. Now it's in. Then you're going to fold this up. The hand is going to go into this cavity right here. And then this is going to come up, and there's a tiny little tab right here. And that's going to tab into that little slot right there. So as this comes up, you bring this around, make sure that this is fitting in back here where it needs to. And then this comes around and then clips on there. And then there you go. Now they tell you to close this first. I find it's a lot easier to get this piece up while you keep this open. And I haven't found a reason why you can't leave it open. So I just do that. This comes up again. This clips into here. Making sure I have that. I don't know. I always have such trouble. There we go. That's in there. And then this comes around. Making sure this all goes over. And that clips in. And then you can see there's two tabs right here, which are going to tab in right there. So you close that like so. And there you go. You can see that's pretty much the entire boombox. But if you remember the original G1, he did have a handle. So this is going to unpeg here. And then just lifts up. You can see it's just a tab right there. And then a tab spot right there. So this will lift up as well. And then these will swivel around. And then you just kind of peg these into each other. And there you go. There is your tiny boombox. You can take the gun and store it on the back. You can see that there's a tiny notch on the handle, which is going to peg in right there. So you just bring this down and tab this in just like so. And you can store that on the back. It's not the best storage, but it works. And then, of course, we can still pop this open and put eject inside. So I think they nailed it. I mean, that exactly looks like Blaster. They really could not have done a more perfect job. I'm going to bring in Soundwave real quick for a little size comparison. You can see Soundwave is about the same size. He's a little bit shorter. But for the most part, it's pretty perfect. I think the two of these right next to each other is very, very cool. I'm a big fan of this. I think this looks really, really great. I really love Blaster. I like Soundwave, but I don't know. There's just something about this tape deck that's just not as cohesive, whereas I feel like this one, they pretty perfectly nailed, and I absolutely love that. All right, so last but certainly not least, we got to take a look at Eject here. Now, he's done in this translucent blue plastic. I'm not really sure why he had to be translucent. I kind of wish he was just normal plastic, but the translucent plastic isn't a problem. I just would have preferred, you know, a normal non-translucent plastic. But just a quick comparison here with Rumble. Now, again, I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be kind of a repaint / remold of this, but as you can see, once again, very different transformation. Really, the aesthetic is completely different. And I think they once again built this from the ground up. It really doesn't share any components. So if we take this guy and we're going to flip down the legs like this. So you kind of pop this straight down here. This is going to come down, and then you can rotate this right there because this is a ball joint, as you can see. So we're going to bring that down. This is going to come straight down and then rotate. And then you're going to kind of bring this section down. And same thing, this is a ball joint as well. So you rotate that to expose the fist. Just like so. And then you have to come around to the back. And this can be a little tricky, but you can see the head here. And you kind of have to get something in there to get that out. It's actually much easier than usual. So that pops up, and then once you do that, you can spin that around as well. So I think the head sculpt is pretty fantastic. The orange for the face paint there is really nice. He has tiny little blue eyes. They're kind of hard to see, but they are there. This gold chrome here on the front looks fantastic. And he's got a decent amount of articulation. Now, because the head's on a ball joint, you can kind of look as far back as you want. Or have the head tilt as far back so he can look straight up. Can't really go down, but of course he can side to side, no problem. You have a little bit of tilt side to side as well. You have a swivel here for the shoulder. You have a swivel here for this hinge. You have a ball joint in the elbow. Nothing in the waist. You have a hinge and a swivel here in the hip, and then you have a ball joint for the knee. Now you can kind of see in a few places where the translucent plastic, I don't want to say cracked, because that seems a little extreme, but it almost looks like it could be, and that just kind of worries me because I feel like translucent plastic is more prone to cracking than normal plastic, but what do I know, that could be completely wrong. But he looks good. I kind of want to bring in Rumble real quick and transform him, or Frenzy if you prefer. I'm not trying to start a fight here. So we'll swivel this down, and then we'll flip out the hands. And you can see he transforms very differently. And he's definitely blockier. Like, I just think Eject is a little bit more stylized. A little bit sleeker curves. You can see he's got kind of the torso carved out a little bit there. And I've always said that Rumble and Frenzy are missing the guns on the back, because that really makes their design, in my opinion. And that was something they weren't really able to do with these. But Eject looks pretty perfect. Really, really nice job with them. I like them a lot. I absolutely love this release. Honestly, if this had come out at the end of last year instead of the beginning of this year, it easily would have made my top 10 for 2021. Blaster looks phenomenal. Very G1 accurate. It's the Blaster figure I've always wanted. Like I said, the Titans Return one was okay, but it was far too big and I didn't need it to transform into a base, although that was fun at the time. This is the Blaster I've been looking for. Fantastic detailing, fantastic paint applications. That head sculpt is amazing. The silver paint and the blue eyes, really, really sharp. The yellow for the kind of cassette door looks great. Beautiful Autobot symbol painted on there. The mechanism for the buttons at his waist makes the door open and close perfectly. I like his gun accessory. Eject is phenomenal. I don't really get why he's translucent plastic, but it's okay. I'm okay with it. It's just a weird choice when nothing else about this release is translucent plastic, so just kind of scratching my head on that one. I really hope we get some more of his little cassette pals. I'm hoping that in Legacy they do like a 2-pack and call it a core class release, kind of like they did back in Siege for Soundwave. I definitely want to get Rewind. I want to get Steeljaw and Ramhorn. I'm hoping they can at least give us those 3. Or even if they do them as some kind of Hasbro Pulse exclusive, Generations release or something like that, Generation Selects, I'd be fine with any of that. So please just give us some more of his cassette pals, because I really just need those core 4 at least. But yeah, I don't really have anything to complain about this guy. He's pretty fantastic. If you can find him, I definitely recommend picking him up. Like I said, I know he's a little bit sought after right now. He is in Kingdom, but he is also going to be in the first wave of Legacy. So if you can't find him just yet, do not despair. You will have opportunities to pick him up, and I definitely suggest that you do. He really, really is a ton of fun. Looks great. I love everything about him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.